Isn't it fascinating how often things that sound like bad news are actually really good news? For example, is it good news or bad news to hear that you've been diagnosed with cancer? Most people would say that's bad news. To me, that's good news. If you already have the cancer inside of you, when you're told you have the cancer, now you have a chance to do something about it. So to me, that's fantastic news. Okay, now I've talked in previous videos about how I try to get away from good and bad types of language. If you get away from saying something is good and something is bad, you get away from categorizing things and get into actually understanding things. So I'll try to do that here, okay? What I wanted to talk about today is your belief system. Once you understand what you believe, no matter how crazy it is, that's a fantastic thing. Even though it's frustrating sometimes, or it can go like, what? Do I actually do that? It can be really good news because you're working towards something. So I'm gonna tell you a really quick story. This is a story of Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister came along in the 50s, I think it was 1954, at a time when nobody, as far as anyone knew, nobody had ever run a sub 4-minute mile. And if you asked the geniuses of the time, the experts at the time, the scientists of the time, they said it cannot be done. It cannot be done. Well, guess what? Because people believed it couldn't be done, they didn't do it. Roger Bannister trained himself in a really unique way. He visualized he visualized actually doing it. And he did this over and over and over again. In 1954, he broke the 4-minute mile. Unreal, okay? People almost didn't believe that it could be done, even though he had just done it. Here's an interesting thing that happened. As soon as he changed that belief for himself and everyone else around him, or at least a few people around him, a bunch of people started breaking the 4-minute mile. Within a couple of years, a ton of people had broken it, right? Once we change a belief, we take action. Now, here's the good news, bad news thing. We don't typically get prepared to change a belief until we are forced to from outside circumstances. And this is a really sad thing for me. There are many disadvantages to this. There are many harms that it can do to a person, all right? Having said that, I get excited about it because there are so many wonderful things that come from it as well, advantages that come from it, okay? So the disadvantages are, I'll use an extreme example, okay? Most people won't, if they've got really strong belief systems tied to their health care regarding diet or regarding exercise, they hate exercise. They believe it's a horrible thing for them. Or they believe that sugar and I don't know, easy carbs are really, they taste fantastic and they couldn't do without them. Well, if that person believes the things, they're going to justify anything. We will justify anything. We will use all of our logic to justify our beliefs. Now, let's say that person is diagnosed with a heart condition. Okay? Let's say that person is diagnosed with diabetes. Let's say that person is diagnosed with something that they go, wait a second, I can lose my appendages and die? I can go blind? I'm going to simply be watching my kids, I don't know, soccer game or whatever one day and I can keel over from a heart attack? All of a sudden, fear, intense fear for a short period of time can change a person, and they can say, okay, I'm willing to work on my belief systems. But then when you work on your belief systems, there are a number of things that you have to do. You have to start, and I've talked about this before, you have to start associating new emotions with that new the new belief that you want. But once it changes, you can change everything. Once a belief changes, you can change everything. I'm going to give you another example of how we use logic to justify an emotional attachment to a belief system, okay? Okay, so what about the world? So at one time, some people believed the world was flat, okay? It's not as prevalent as we thought. There have been people for 3,000 years that have understood the world is round. But at one time, the people believed the world was flat. I could have gone to a person in the past. I could have flown in my time machine into the past and started to explain science and physics and different things to somebody, and I would have said, and the world is round. And they would have looked at me and said, Mark, do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I'm an idiot? If the world was round, how could people on the bottom of it stay up? Yeah, like, use your brains. Use the least little bit of reasoning and logic that you have. It's obvious that the world is flat because we all stay on top, okay? You know what? That's good logic. That's really sound logic in many ways, built on the wrong premise, okay? Because it's built on the wrong belief system, because we're emotionally attached to that belief system, we'll use crazy logic to justify, well, crazy, not because it's bad logic, because it doesn't make sense once we have more information, okay? It's the same thing with exercise, it's the same thing with diet, it's the same with relationships, it's the same with business and money and building a skill in your life that you want to become great at. All these things are similar. What we need to do is change our beliefs, not simply change our logic, not simply change our actions, because once we change our beliefs, our actions will follow. Once we believe the 4-minute mile is possible, we'll try for it if we're a mid-distance runner, okay? If we believe that exercise is actually fun, if we believe that eating healthy food is tasty, you can see my face. Most people don't believe that. Once you change your belief, then you're going to start doing it far, far more. Once you start doing it far more, you'll start having the results you want, okay? Work on your beliefs here. I want you to think about right now, what are the limiting beliefs attached to emotions that you have regarding the area of life that you want to change right now? As you think about that, come up with some ideas, identify where the limiting belief is. Most people need help with this, okay? And that's okay. That's okay. You can go to a therapist, you can go to a coach, you can go to somebody, and they can help you with those beliefs. But make sure that you do this. If you don't do this, you won't move forward in life. Here's the thing, and this kicks me. I know that this is coming up for many of you, and that is, I know that even though you want to change, you're not ready yet. The only way to become ready for change is pain, to have pain. That can be through fear, that can be through physical pain, that can be emotional pain, that can be relationship struggles. That's the sad thing for me, okay? The joy for me is that if it does take a little bit longer and you do need a bigger problem in life, a bigger pain in life to take action, let me know when that happens, because when that happens, you're going to be ready to take a lot of action. You're going to be able to work on your belief systems. You're going to be able to get far, far more ahead than anyone else. And this is why people look back on their lives and go, I'm so grateful for the things that were hard. Not because I enjoyed them in the moment, but because of what they gave me. Because then people are ready to change, okay? Find your belief systems a little bit today, and then connect with me. I mean, you can personal message me. You can figure out a way to connect with me, all right?